AAA gaming is not doing so well at the moment. Devs are overworked and underpaid. They're getting laid off left and right after companies are reporting record high sales. It's just overall not a great look for the industry. And while I am a fan of big budget AAA developed games, there is something about a smaller, more passionate experience that just gets me so excited to be involved with this industry. Enter the indie game. This is a list of my favorite indie games as it stands right now. Now please keep in mind that I have not played every single indie game out there, nor am I saying that these are the best made indie games out there. All I'm saying is just that these are my favorite, and I'd like to have a discussion with you guys about this fun little genre in the gaming atmosphere. Sea of Stars is a throwback to RPGs of yesteryear. Its turn-based combat system allows for added challenge thanks to the lock system. This system asks players to pay attention to the different symbols appearing above enemies' heads. They indicate what types of attacks you should use to stagger the enemy and avoid a potentially fatal attack. Similar to games like Super Mario RPG or Paper Mario 1 and 2, players are challenged with timing button presses at the exact moment of impact for some attacks. It's a lot of fun and really feels like the right path for these kinds of RPGs to take. Not only is the combat incredible, but the story is really fun as well. Sea of Stars is a tale about the Solstice Warriors, who have to go on a journey to save the world. Along the way, they meet new and old friends, slay giant bosses, and have tons of quirky and well-written conversations with the diverse cast of party members. Unfortunately, I haven't finished it just yet, which is why it's ranking so low on this list. Celeste is a platforming masterpiece. It's one of those games that's best experienced as blindly as possible. Not only does the game do a great job of easing players into the platforming and the special skills that Madeline can use, but it also provides an engaging story with good reasons as to why we are going on this journey in the first place. Along the way, Madeline meets a whole cast of interesting characters. There's Theo, a fellow mountain climber, Mr. Oshiro, a hotel manager, and a few others of note. The journey that Madeline goes on is a heartfelt one about discovering oneself and learning who you really are. It's incredibly relatable and provides the perfect amount of motivation to keep trying the platforming over and over again. The quick reloads really help when you fail to. In the forest, players are tasked with surviving on a tree-covered peninsula that also happens to be home to a tribe of cannibals who are ready to hunt you down and kill you at any moment. Survivors need to use logs, sticks, leaves, and a host of other materials to build a base to take on the cannibal threat. This game is an absolute blast to play with your friends. You can get up to some pretty crazy antics when chopping a few trees down with your buddies. On top of the awesome and easy to understand crafting mechanics, you just set up a blueprint and fill it with the required materials. There's also a number of caves to dive into to find new weapons, stronger tools, and tons of lore that helps move the story along. This isn't the most engaging narrative, but it's a good enough motivation to keep you going. The real draw to this game is the survival elements and the awesome co-op that's on offer here. Unfortunately, this cannot be said about the sequel, The Sons of the Forest. While the graphical overhaul in that game is mind-blowing, most everything else feels pretty much the same or actually a step backwards in regards to the building. In Sons of the Forest, players are asked to place each part of a structure individually. This allows for some amazing customization in the creation of unthinkable structures. But the problem is that it's just not all that fun to do. Sometimes more robust isn't always the better option. I applaud the devs for creating such a cool system, but unfortunately it just isn't that much fun to play with. But the OG Forest is still great and highly worth checking out. Animal Well is the newest game on this list, and it has easily become one of my favorite games of the year. The platforming is tight, if not a little unforgiving sometimes. But it's the sense of exploration, though, that is a huge draw for me to this title. Players are just dropped into the world as this little blob and are let loose to explore the world and see what they can discover. The items you pick up along the way are intuitive and make solving puzzles an absolute blast. There's firecrackers, frisbees, a yo-yo, and tons of other cool stuff. There's also a number of collectibles to find, primarily in the form of these hidden eggs. Most of these eggs are hidden off the beaten path and require you to think a little bit in order to reach the chests. Some eggs, though, are placed right on the path, but with over 50 to discover, you'll really need to put on your thinking cap to find them all. Apparently, There's also a ton of post-game things to discover as well, using the mysterious flute, but I haven't gotten there yet. I just reached the credits for the first time not too long ago. There's also an ARG surrounding this game as well. I haven't looked too far into it, and I heard that it's a lot of computer lingo and binary-ness that I don't really understand, but it's definitely cool for the people who enjoy it. And it's also incredible to think that this was made primarily by just one person. We absolutely love a solo dev. If they made Indie Game the movie today, Stardo Valley is probably the game that would headline the film. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone out there who hasn't at least heard of Stardo. I recently picked it up like a month before the 1.6 update and immediately fell in love. It has just enough item and time management to keep me thinking and strategizing, but not so much that I'm worried about min-maxing all the time. Don't get me wrong, you can totally min-max if you want to, but there's options, and we'd love us some option. And unlike another really popular town running sim out there, there's actually some combat in here too. There's a large cave network to explore and find rare gems and treasures. There's over like 100 levels to explore. You also periodically will find new tools and weapons to help you on your journey to become the ultimate farmer. Not to mention the relationships, timed events, fishing, collections to complete, and so much more. This is one of the most fun games I've played in the cozy genre in a long time. It also has a small one-person sized dev team, and also has an incredible co-op mode that is so fun to just goof around in. The Messenger is the other title developed by Sabotage Studios. One of the things I like most about this studio is that they're trying different genres with all of their titles. The Messenger is a Ninja Gaiden-inspired platformer with the best dialogue this side of Paper Mario. The wit, sarcasm, and cheekiness that oozes from the story in this game is more than enough reason to keep playing. Players are tasked with delivering a scroll to the eastern side of the world to the top of a mountain. Both the scroll and the title, The Messenger, are given to the player by the hero from the west. As the messenger travels the world to make this delivery, he'll come across a snarky wizard who will allow him to upgrade his skills and abilities. The messenger uses these abilities to help traverse the world and complete his mission. Obviously, there's much more to the story here than this, but I don't want to spoil it for those of you who haven't played it. Just know that there's an awesome twist about halfway through that's a real treat for fans of retro NES and SNES games. The game's not too long, and the dialogue and tight platforming make this a must-play for fans of the genre. Hades is a roguelite hack-and-slash action game set in the world of Greek mythology where Hades' son, Zagreus, is trying to escape his father's domain to find out the truth about his mother and his family. The story is solid and will definitely act as good motivation for you to keep churning out runs like there's no tomorrow. The other thing Hades gets so right is the customization. There are multiple weapons to choose from and tons of different power-ups for each. The best part of these kinds of games is finding a build that works for you and your playstyle. If you want to stay at range and fight from afar, you can find boons that allow you to do that. How about getting up close and personal with the enemy? Yep, there's boons for that too. Pretty much any kind of build you can think of, there's a boon for that. After each escape attempt, Zag can talk to the denizens of the underworld and learn more about the characters and the world that he's running away from. He can also upgrade himself with new powers and buffs that will help him along his journey. So if you're the kind of player who likes to customize builds and test yourself over and over again, Hades is a fantastic place to start. Hades 2 just released not too long ago, and it came down to Animal Well or that for me. And I'll give you one guess as to which one I picked. Alright, Phasmo is on a whole other level. The point of this game is all about ghost hunting and identifying the type of ghosts that's ruining your clients' lives. Never have I had so much fun in a co-op game than I have with Phasmophobia. The game goes like this. You and your team, if you have one, get a loadout of ghost hunting tools. Whichever map you choose, there will be one of a ton of different ghosts inside. Using all of the different equipment at your disposal, it's up to you to determine which type of ghost is haunting the map. By finding 3 pieces of evidence, you can narrow down which specter is causing all the trouble. Each ghost type has a unique characteristic about it too. Like some ghosts move slower in the light, some will lock onto one player for the entirety of the run, and others can mimic characteristics of different types of ghosts. Using the various tools and methods of tracking, you can solve the mystery. After every attempt, you get XP and money. You can then use that money to buy leveled up versions of your gear to help make the ghost hunting easier. There's tons of collectibles to find, and each time you play, something different is going to happen. The replayability on this one is insane. Once again, if you can find a team to play with, you will have an absolute blast. I feel like everyone knows about Hollow Knight by now. It's the Metroidvania Bug Souls. I also feel like this is a game that is best experienced on your own for the first time, as blind as possible. That being said, Hollow Knight ticks all of the right boxes for me as a gamer. The exploration is fantastic. The combat is tight and impactful, and by using a badge-like system, you can customize your experience to fit your personal needs. The game is challenging, but it offers the exact feeling that I can't seem to get from the Soulsborne games. No matter how many times I try, I never feel satisfied after taking on a big challenge in those games, but in Hollow Knight, I have no problem just trying and trying again. Partly because getting back to the boss is usually pretty quick, depending on where you saved, and it's a load of fun trying to figure out the boss's unique attack patterns. Every challenge you overcome in Hollow Knight leads to something new. That may be a new power, a new location, or a new NPC. There's always motivation to keep going. If you're a fan of Metroidvanias and you haven't yet, I highly recommend you check out Hollow Knight. You got plenty of time before Silksong comes out. At least a few years, I'd say. Alright, number 1. My favorite indie game is none other than Inscription. This game absolutely blew me the heck away when I played it on launch day back in 2021. Just one day before my birthday. I immediately fell in love with the art style and the tone of this game. Inscription is a roguelite, deck builder, puzzle game, adventure developed by Daniel Mullins Games. I thoroughly enjoy 1/3 of those genres, and after playing Inscription, I'd say I vehemently love roguelites. The genre is so much more than I thought it could be. There's so many fun takes on it out there that you just need to find the right one to get it all to click for you. Inscription is a complex story of a player who's trapped in a log cabin by a mysterious entity. This entity has you locked in an eternal card game where your only goal is to survive and defeat your mysterious opponent. Throughout each run, you'll find new cards to add to your active deck and different points along the map where you can take part in special events. One event, for instance, is a place where you can rest by a fire and upgrade your card. But you have to be careful because if you stay by the fire too long, some hunters will show up and take your card and destroy it. There's a lot of risk management going on here. Eventually, as you progress through your runs, you'll find clues and hints to things going on outside the game. You'll find that you can step away from the table and explore the cabin. In the cabin, there are plenty of secrets to discover and plot threads that will make you think twice about why you're actually playing this card game. Overall, the story and twists are what kept me going. But the amazing gameplay and differences that each run has are what made this game such a joy to go through. Even if you don't like all the genres that Inscription is a part of, give it a shot. The gameplay is top-notch and addicting as hell. It is without a doubt my favorite indie game that I have ever played. So that's my list of the top 10 indie games that I've played. Were all of those too predictable? Have you played any of these games before? Are you interested in picking up any of these games? What's your favorite indie game, and why are you drawn to the genre? Let me know in the comments section, and we can have a fun little discussion about it. Thanks to everyone for checking out the video.